I want you to acknowledge this. I don't know if you do or not. That, like, for example, you asked why black people aren't, like, the reason why there's not as many black people in universities is because they're not applying. But then we have to see as, like, why are they not applying? So I feel like they lack, like, minorities in this country lack a lot of resources. Like, it's definitely possible. Like, we've seen it happen. Like, I mean, that's why I'm here, right? But it's not as easy as it is for, like, you know, some white people. And I just want that, like, acknowledgement, because it seems as though it's like we're saying everybody starts off at the same pace and there's no...
So I'm a conservative. One thing I have a hard time rationalizing to my liberal friends, and conservatives on TV and politicians have a hard time articulating, is intelligent reasons why the wall must be built. I am curious your thoughts on that.
3 quick things. Number 1, I'm going to say some facts. I'm going to talk about fairness. Then I'm going to talk about sovereignty. Some facts. An illegal alien in the state of Arizona is twice as likely to commit a crime versus a natural-born citizen. Fact. 90% of all heroin and fentanyl come across the southern border. Fact. Over 10,000 kids are illegally sex trafficked across the southern border every single year. Fact. We have 56,000 illegal immigrants in our federal prison system. Fact. And countless in our state penitentiary system. $135 billion a year. That's how much is the financial burden on U.S. taxpayers every single year that illegal immigrants drain from our system. Fact. You put all that together, that's a pretty compelling argument that we have some problems with our southern border. Those are some facts. Number 2 is fairness. As Candace said, it is not fair to the people in Bolivia. It's not fair to the people in Bangladesh. And it's not fair to the people in Belarus that had to wait in line, fill out an application form, not commit a crime, and then wait a decade to come into this country to maybe have a chance to become an American. It is not fair to them. Number 3 is sovereignty. Why do walls matter? Why do borders matter? Borders are a physical representation of when good ideas begin and bad ideas start. If you don't believe me, just ask East and West Germany, or at North or South Korea. If you believe in open borders, you do not believe in the physical delineation of where good ideas start and bad ideas start. The wall right now is not only important for facts, not only important the facts I mentioned, the fairness, but also the sovereignty. We are not Mexico. We have a unique culture. We have a unique identity. The Mexican culture is something that should be appreciated and understood, but our culture is much different and has outpaced them over the last 50 years. And to say that we should have open borders and we should have some sort of transferable citizenship cheapens the idea of the American identity and culture of the people that have waited in line and the tens of millions of immigrants that had to fly halfway across the world to come into this country. So those are the 3 reasons I would give: to build the wall, build it quickly, build it high, build it wide, with a big door so everyone can come in legally. Thank you.
You believe that the Constitution's the best document in political history?
Greatest political document ever
There
written.
you go.
Thank you.
I want to know, how is it possible to believe that when it's based on racist principles? They describe indigenous peoples as merciless Indian savages. They don't describe African Americans as full people, and they don't even recognize other people of color and other minorities that we see today. So I just want to know how you think it's possible to believe that's such a great document we're founded upon.
Thank you for the question. Where does it say that in the document? No, keep her. Where does it say that in the document?
I'm sorry, what?
Where does it say what you said in the actual document?
I'm sorry. I'm not entirely sure,
It
but...
doesn't.
No,
Instead, do you know what it does say? Provide for the general welfare of all people. I preface when I talked about the United States Constitution, you know what's amazing is the amendment process. I love the story of Thaddeus Stevens, who fought like hell to make sure that blacks could have the right to vote. I love the story of the Republican Party, which was founded in 1860 as an anti-slavery party. I hate what happened to indigenous people under Democrat presidents. I do. Here's why it's the greatest document ever. Is because in a land with so many different backgrounds and languages and cultures in this room, from all over the world, we can peacefully have a conversation while all that's protected simultaneously. while we can agree to disagree, we can have this conversation. What you said is nowhere in the founding documents at all. What you said is what some of the prejudices that was in the people of the founding fathers. This is called a logical fallacy. Tell me why the document is not correct. Don't tell me the sins of the authors. It's a big difference.
You mentioned that you don't try to promote people
Oh boy, you've been through this.
violence.
I do not promote
You
violence.
don't wish misery upon anyone, but you're wearing an ice hat.
Let's talk about ICE. Let's talk, sure.
Yeah.
What about ICE don't you like?
A violent organization.
Not
right?
violent.
Yes, they're violent. How?
I'll tell you why I like ICE. They're the #1 agency that goes after child sex traffickers. #1. They arrest tens of thousands of child sex traffickers every single year. They also go after MS-13. They also go after terrorists that are here in the country domestically. ICE was formed after 9/11 to go after international threats that are here domestically. That's why they're called Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement. They get such a bad rap, and you actually meet with the agents, and you see what they do every single day. It's pretty extraordinary work. Now, they do go after people that have visa overstays. It has nothing to do with race. An illegal immigrant is not a race. Most of the visa overstays are people from Hungary or from Indonesia or from Japan. If you are here illegally, you should not be here despite your race. The immigration debate is demagogued by politicians by being a racial issue. It has nothing to do with race and everything to do with the rule of law.
These liberals can't even listen. They can't. It's like they plug their ears the moment reason shows up. That is terrible, ladies and gentlemen, because they are not seeking to understand. No, it's not about understanding or engaging in honest debates with them. They don't care about the truth. It's about expressing their feelings. Facts are secondary. Truth is secondary. What matters is their feelings. It's their feelings. Because you know what? They have been groomed that way. Not educated. Not educated. A lot of them, they are taught arrogance and not wisdom. They are so rude, a lot of them. So rude. It's crazy, ladies and gentlemen. It's crazy because they are trained to confuse loudness with logic and feelings over facts. Feelings over facts. And that is really a result of a corrupted system. It's a fruit of a corrupted system. Yeah. A machine that does not shape minds, but rather twist them into delusion. Delusion.
You talked, Charlie, I think it was you that talked a bit about like the Mueller investigation.
Yeah.
I know you said it was like a waste of time, that kind of thing. I don't know, what makes you think it was a waste of time? Because it was about 30 indictments, a couple convictions. What specifically about it was a waste of time to you?
Okay,
You know, criminals were exposed.
No heckling, no
by a court determined that criminals were exposed.
So, do you know what was the basis of the original Russia intelligence investigation in the FBI?
Right, so from what I understand, my understanding was that the investigation was opened up to basically understand all the different ways that the Russian Federation has colluded with
What was
the
the
U.S.
piece of
elections.
intelligence that began the surveillance or the spying, whatever you want to call it, of the Trump campaign?
No idea.
Okay,
but
so
yeah.
it was a dossier
Right.
that was funded by the Democrat National Committee and the Hillary Clinton campaign, constructed by an opposition research firm called Fusion GPS. The dossier has been disproven and debunked to have so many inaccuracies and misleading facts and information. So that was put in front of a FISA judge. For those of you that don't know what a FISA judge is, that is giving permission for the United States government to surveil its own citizens. Now, there were 3 members of the Trump campaign that were former individuals at highest level of national security: Chris Christie, Rudy Giuliani, and Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. If the FBI was actually worried about Russia interference, they could have approached Chris Christie, who was a U.S. attorney, Mayor Giuliani, who was a former U.S. attorney, or Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who held the highest level of security clearance at the highest level of the military, saying, hey, we're worried about Russia interference in your election, we're worried about this Manafort guy. They never did that. Instead, they illegally surveilled and spied on the Trump campaign. So fast forward to April or May, where the actual Mueller investigation began. Andrew McCabe said it himself that his own internal workings towards eventual triggering of the Mueller investigation was based on the phony intelligence of Fusion GPS and based on this investigation. But you said 30 indictments. Let's break this down. Who is indicted? Paul Manafort is going to prison, not for Russia interference, my friend.
For tax fraud, yeah.
Right, tax fraud, wire fraud, and unregistered foreign lobbying for Ukraine, not even for Russia.
That's kind of Ukraine and Russia there. There's a little bit of a
war.
Well, there's a war, yes, but keep in mind, yeah. I mean, saying that it's not as a fair point. I think not to say that there isn't a connection.
I can see where you're coming from there. Yeah, I understand. There's a lot of cross nationality.
That is really tough to.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the second major indictment was George Papadopoulos, who lied under oath to the FBI. No Russian interference, no Russian connection. Okay. Also, the third, which is the most famous, is Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who again is indicted for a process crime, and was indicted not for Russian collusion, but for not filling out his paperwork properly for the incoming president to become National Security Council advisor for unregistered foreign lobbying for the Turkish government. Okay? The fourth person who was indicted was the former attorney to the president, Michael Cohen, who we have on the record now lying at least 15 times to Congress under 2 separate testimonies. Now, he was not indicted for Russian collusion. He was not indicted for interference. He was indicted for taxi medallion fraud, tax fraud, and wire fraud. Now, those are the 4 Americans so far. There might be more. There probably won't be. Actually, the 5th. I'm sorry. There was a 5th. Obama's White House counsel was just recently indicted.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'm sorry. In the last week, for unregistered foreign lobbying, taking a $4 million wire transfer that was laundered through Cyprus, for, again, with Paul Manafort essentially being the lawyer on file. His criminal trial is still pending. He has pleaded innocent. Those are the 5 major Americans. Now, you said 30 indictments. The rest of them are foreign Russian citizens that we could indict the entire country of Russia for essentially colluding against America, because every day the whole country is registered as a foreign adversary. So we just picked 25 people that were running Russian troll farms. Now, the 5 things that I told you could have been done with just telling the Department of Justice to do their job.
Yeah.
Bob Mueller was not needed for $30 million creating a public assassination campaign against a president that was originally based on faulty intelligence. And so, I think you and I can agree that doing that for 2 years and exacerbating this Russian narrative, where Congressman Adam Schiff, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, now said there has yet to be released evidence that is material of Russian collusion against the Trump campaign. We're still waiting for what that is. There are 1,800 articles amongst the 4 major newspapers in America: USA Today, the Washington Post, the LA Times, and the New York Times. 1,800 articles alluding or directly connecting Donald Trump and the Trump campaign to committing treason with a foreign adversary. You got to ask the question, was it really necessary to hijack our whole public narrative for 2 years using $30 million of U.S. taxpayer to go after 5 people, none of which committed Russian collusion at all, instead had their own personal crimes that they committed? I believe it was a public assassination campaign that we paid for, that now Donald Trump has rose up against and has triumphed over. So how many genders are there?
There's so many. The way that the
so many is not enough.
chromosomes actually break down with intersex genders and the way that it actually happens, that is a starting point that you learn in 5th grade. But when you actually do real experiments, you learn that the way that data breaks down when it comes to
Can you give me a number
genders,
or not? Number?
A number? You have 2. Yes. That's 6th grade science. When you move on, there are hundreds of different categories.
So what you learn in 6th grade becomes less true as you get older? Like gravity becomes less true?
That is a basic building
Newton's
block
third
that
law
children
becomes less true?
in order to understand the concept of gender. When you break it down into actual
Gender and
experiments when it
sex
comes
are
to
directly
chromosome and sex, it breaks down into hundreds of different categories that actually differentiate between just 2 genders. What you're saying is there are facts and you don't believe in there being opinions.
Yes, I am saying that there are facts.
This is a scientific fact that if you talk to any biologist, you will learn.
So in biology, they teach you that there's XX and XY chromosomes. So give me a number of how many genders there are.
Hundreds, many.
Unlimited, right?
It breaks down into
it's anything you want to be, anything you feel?
No, it's what scientists determine given specific categories.
X, Y.
Why do you need a number if you're
Bingo. Why do you need a number? That's a great question.
You literally have no idea how it works.
Because then you could self-identify to be anything you want at any time.
Literally, biologists are saying that this is the way the gender actually breaks down.
So you would accept the argument that you can self-identify to be anything at any time?
Yes, because literally biologists
That's what's wrong with not having a number.
There are hundreds of different numbers.
But again, you don't have a number. I just want to recap.
Hundreds. There's hundreds of different
So where would
ways
you
the
put?
data breaks down.
Okay, so the data breaks down into two very simple predominant categories: XX and XY, and that's no. Oh, so there's not male and female.
I think what happens is you don't understand science and scientific
Oh, I don't.
backing.
Oh, okay. So
and you just want to
so I
put
can
forth this fascist simple.
Oh, fascist simple. Here we go. That's interesting.
That will keep you.
So what is fascist about saying there's two genders?
Is you're just being completely not faithful to what actual science is telling you.
No,
because you
science
wanna
is
put
quite
forward
simple. That
your
there's
own
a
oppressive narrative
Oh,
about
oppressive.
how you think
So, and now I'm
genders should be
oppressive.
believed.
How am I being oppressive? The truth comes out eventually. So, how am I being
Yeah,
oppressive?
you're being oppressive.
How am I being oppressive?
You're being oppressive by denying people the ability to have.
How have I
their
denied
own
anyone
identity.
anything? Okay, denying people identity. People can identify however they want. I'm only going to use two genders.
I want you to acknowledge this. I don't know if you do or not. That like, for example, you asked why black people aren't like the reason why there's not as many black people in universities is because they're not applying. But then we have to see as like why are they not applying? So I feel like they lack, like minorities in this country lack a lot of resources. Like it's definitely possible. Like we've seen it happen. Like I mean that's why I'm here, right? But it's not as easy as it is for like, you know, some white people. And I just want that like acknowledgement because it seems as though it's like we're saying everybody starts off at the same pace and there's no...
I love your question. I'm really glad you're here. Can I ask you 3 quick questions? You graduated high school, right? Yes. You don't yet have a kid, I'm guessing? No. Okay. And do you have a job of some sort? Okay. So you, based on those 3 great choices, are nearly guaranteed to not live in poverty in America. Okay. That has nothing to do with skin color. That has nothing to do with racism. You are a person of color that has overcome what you believe to be a systemic racist environment by making good choices. You are an example of why America is the greatest country in the history of the world.
And yes, it's shameful. It's shameful that our youth, they have been sold this counterfeit education, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, they have been indoctrinated. They have been indoctrinated, taught what to think instead of how to think. It's crazy. And this could have been a generation full of potential, you know, but it's almost as if that's the generation that is gonna self-destruct, you know, because of delusions, indoctrinations. It's terrible. It's terrible. People who are ruled by their emotions, they are problematic, ladies and gentlemen. They are problematic. Yeah. There is a culture of outrage where anger is usually the first response. Whenever you confront them, they usually respond with anger. It's terrible, ladies and gentlemen. That's how every liberal communicates. Yeah, they don't listen. They don't listen. No. And most of the times they have zero self-control. Zero self-control. And these kids, they usually represent other kids, you know. They usually represent other kids. A whole generation of kids. And that is one of the dangers of sending your kids to the public schools and the universities, especially now. Because whenever they go there, they will have to fight wokeness. Whenever you see a kid graduating from either high school or college without becoming woke, that's a big achievement. That's a big achievement, ladies and gentlemen. A very big achievement. Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. Because it seems like there is no longer critical thinking in these institutions now. Only propaganda. Only propaganda. And they would deliberately control and even program the youths to think in a particular way. Especially the youths from the Western countries. Especially from the Western countries. The results on display. The results on display. And what I can say is God help us all. God help us all. Because we are living in times of confusion, chaos, and moral uncertainty. It seems as if right and wrong is always getting ignored. If something is right, it will be ignored. If something is wrong, it will also be ignored instead of being addressed. It's terrible, ladies and gentlemen. It's terrible. God help us all. Guide us, lead us, through your wisdom, Lord, in the right path that we must follow, so that we never depart from them. Yeah. And the reason I say this, ladies and gentlemen, is because evil is real. Evil is real. It's not a fairy tale. No, it's not a fairy tale. It's not something even distant or imaginary. It's very present now, working to corrupt hearts, families, and nations. And nations. And it is our duty as individuals to stand up in righteousness, stand up in the gap for our nations, for our families. Stand up in the gap, because we are called to fight evil. It's your responsibility. It's my responsibility. All of us. All of us. And standing up and fighting evil, we don't do this with weapons of hate, but through prayer, speaking truth, speaking up boldly and standing firm for what is right. Standing firm for what is right, because if we remain silent, if we choose comfort over conviction, evil is only gonna grow bolder. That will be the result. Evil will grow darker, stronger, and even, extend its grip on people's hearts and minds. Yeah, but if we come together in faith, in courage, and persistence, we can push back against the darkness. We can push back against the darkness. Each voice matters. Each prayer matters. Yeah. The future of our nation deeply, deeply, and deeply depends on us standing up, resisting evil, or sitting back and watching evil spreads. You see? There is a middle line. It's either you're on the right or you're on the left. It's either you're on the life side or you're on the side of death. God's side or the devil's side. There is no middle ground, you see? There isn't. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Charlie showed us what a life of fulfillment is, or looks like, at least. You see, he wasn't chasing fame, status. No, he wasn't. What mattered to him was the mission, purpose. Purpose is what mattered to him. You see, that is what he was fighting for. The mission, the cause of changing people's lives. That is what he was fighting for. He lived a life full of character, courage, and conviction. And his life always reminds us that true greatness isn't about who knows you or the size of your office. No, it's about serving faithfully, even when no one is watching. Yeah. Well, folks, tell me also what you think in the comment section. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to click on the next one. And also check my second channel right in the description. I would truly appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Bye bye for now.